If you constantly get stopped out of a position only for it to head towards your original target, chances are you don't understand candle closures. You hear it all the time. Wicks do the damage, bodies tell the story. But what does this really mean? In today's video, I'm going to explain to you what candle closures are, why they're important, and how you can use them to avoid unnecessary losses and to maximize gains. Let's get into it. So the first thing that we have to understand about candle closures is candle formation. So right here, you can see on the left-hand side, what we have is a bullish candle, and how a bullish candle forms is it's going to open, right? It's going to open, it's going to create a low, and then we're going to move towards the upside, create a high, and then we're going to have our close. Our close is the most important aspect of a candle. So you can see right here, this candle closed fairly close to the high of the candle. So this is a bullish candle. If price closes inside the middle of the candle, that means it's going to be less bullish. So depending on the context of the situation, right, it's going to tell you a lot. And right here on the right hand side, you can see this is for a bearish candle, right? We have our open, high, low, close. And similar to the bullish candle, depending on the context, right? If it closes at the very bottom of the candle, it's very bearish. If it closes in the middle of the candle, depending on the context as well, right? This could equate to potentially buyers stepping in. A bullish hammer stick candle in the right context, this could be a signal for a reversal in price. So now let's look at candle formation with a little bit more context. Okay, so you can see right here what we have is a clear uptrend. Price is making higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and higher highs. And you can see right here so far, the candle is closing above this previous swing high pivot point. This would indicate a continuation of the trend. If price breaks above this swing high, breaks structure towards the upside, what can we expect? We can expect continuation of the trend for continuations back towards the highs, right? If price, let's say theoretically, closes underneath this key area. Let's say, for example, price wicks above, as you can see right here, big upper wick, but ends up closing underneath this key swing high. What would this indicate? This would indicate that sellers are stepping in above the swing high and price fails to close above this key area. If price fails to close above this key area, this could indicate a potential reversal in price back towards the downside. So depending on how the candle closes is going to be very important. If it closes above the swing high with displacement, we can expect continuation. If price closes underneath this key area, we can expect a potential reversal in the markets. So understanding the candle closures is very important. Let's go on to another example. So you can see right here, now we're in a clear downtrend, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. And now we have the same example, but in a downtrend. As you can see right here, price is closing bearish. Let's say price has a big push towards the downside. That would indicate a potential continuation of the trend, right? Strong candle closure underneath. Now we'd be looking for a retest for continuations towards the downside. If price, for example, closes back above this range, what would that indicate? That would indicate that buyers are trying to step in off this key area and price potentially could reverse back towards the upside if we do not have continuation and we do not close below the swing low. So as you can see, candle closures are very important. Understanding how a candle closes is going to be the determining factor if we're going to have continuation or there's going to be a potential reversal in play. So now what we have is a range. As you can see here, price is in between your swing highs and your swing lows. And in this case, right, if price is in a range, what is going to occur? If price is in a range, what do we want to see? If we want to see a break outside of the range, we need to have a strong candle closure above this key swing high. If we can break above this key swing high, then we can look for a continuation towards the upside. Let's say, for example, price closes underneath this swing high. What is the other scenario that can happen? In this case, price could potentially reject off this swing high pivot point, and we can look for continuations back down towards this swing low. So now we start heading towards the swing low. So we went from swing high, now we're gravitating down towards swing low, and depending on how this candle closes is very important. Let's say the candle was forming and price was gravitating towards the downside. This looks very bearish, right? We're breaking underneath this swing low. If price closed like this, then we would be looking for continuations towards the downside. But Before this candle closes, let's say it wicks back up and you can see that buyers are stepping in off this swing low. Then price would look a lot different, right? Instead of having a bearish candle towards the downside, now we're actually rejecting off this swing low. We took out the liquidity and now we're coming back inside of the range. So you can see right here how powerful candle closures are, and understanding candle closures in the right context is going to help you avoid unnecessary losses, and it's going to help you stay out of trades that you don't have to take. So now with this being said, let's go on to some of the examples that I have for us today. So as you can see, we're on the Tesla chart right here. And what I'm going to mark out is this key swing low. Right here, you can see we have multiple touches off this key swing low. You can see every single time price is coming down towards this key level, you have a nice reaction and we end up pushing back inside the middle of the range. So based off the higher time frames right here, you can see we have our swing lows, we have our swing highs marked out. And what we really want to see price coming into today, right, is either a break underneath the 255 for continuations towards the downside, or what we're going to be looking for is the hold of our 256 for that continued push back towards the highs. So now let's go and play out the tape. So you can see the first candle formed on the 15-minute time frame. So far, we're having a nice kind of reaction off of your 256. Let's see if we can break above your opening range candle high. And in this case, you can actually see price ended up breaking underneath its opening candle range low on the 15-minute. We're now also breaking underneath their key previous day lows, higher time frame key level as well. So what we're going to be doing is now looking for the retest off your 255 for continuations towards the downside. So now that we had a strong candle closure as well underneath it on the 15-minute time frame, now we can go into the lower time frames to look for potential entry points. So now I'm on the 5-minute time frame and we can play out the tape. You can see so far price is coming back up into our retest level. So what we want to do is see the reaction that we have off their key level, which is our 256 and our previous day lows as well. You can see right there, price had a super nice reaction on the 5-minute time frame, rejected off our higher time frame key flip zone, our previous day lows as well. Now we can go onto the 1-minute time frame to look for entries. So right here, you can see that we actually just recently broke underneath this key swing low on the 1-minute time frame. So that's where we can go look short. So we can go look with an entry with a stop just to break above. And now we can look to target your low of day, and we can also look to target a 1 to 2 as well. Now we can play out the tape. So right there, you can see Tesla end up having a super nice push towards the downside, towards our higher time frame targets. And now if we go back onto the higher time frames, you can see how well this formed, right? Price perfect break underneath, super solid retest on the 5-minute time frame, 15-minute time frame, really solid retest as well. So you can see that once we had that confirmation candle on the 15-minute time frame, that price broke underneath our key level, then we can go onto lower time frames to look for entries. But this was a beautiful retest on the 15-minute. Now we can go on to the next example that I have for us today. So right here, you can see that I'm on Meta and we're clearly in an uptrend, as you can see right here, creating higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. You can see these are also the areas that I have marked out where we have multiple touches. And then the key area towards the upside, I have marked out as well. So if you kind of zoom in here, you can see the previous day's price action, right? So coming into its previous day, right, we tried closing above this key high, but you can see this upper wick was indicating that sellers are stepping in, and we ended up pushing back down towards its previous day's low. So really coming into this day, right, we want to see the hold of your previous day lows for continuations back towards the highs, or we want to see a break underneath the 607 for a push back towards the downside. So let's play out the tape and see what happens. So you can see right here, right off the bat, Meta is having a nice strong push towards the upside. So you can see that price had a very strong push all the way towards where your previous day high pivot level. So you can see price is coming up towards this key area. We're having a little bit of a reaction off this key area. So if we do want to go long on Meta, we have to wait for a break above your previous day highs and a retest of this level for a continuation towards the upside. If price cannot break above this key high, then we can expect it to still be inside of this range on the higher time frames. So now let's keep playing out the tape. And you can see right there, price ends up having a super strong candle closure above your key pivot high, which is your previous day's high. Now what we can be looking for is the retest off this key area for that continued push back towards the upside. So now let's play out the tape. You can see right there, price is now coming back down in towards our key area. This is where we can go look long with a stop just to break below. And now we can look to target a 1 to 2 towards the upside. And you can see right there, price ended up having a super solid push towards the highs. You can see once we had that strong candle closure above your previous day's highs, we end up using this level as a retest fairly nicely for that continued push back towards the key levels above. So with this being said, let's go on to the next example that I have for us today. So you can see that we're on Apple here. We're back on the 15-minute time frame. And you can see that price is clearly in an uptrend. As you can see here, I have a couple key areas marked out being your 15-minute order block. And you can see there's multiple touches around this key area. You can see price tries wicking underneath this low right here, rejects off this low, and then we start continuing back towards the upside. You can see price ended up having a nice push back towards your previous day's highs, which ended up sellers stepping in, rejecting off this level, and then we end up pushing back towards the low of the range. So really coming into today, the key levels that I have marked out will be your previous day's high, and I'll also mark out your previous day lows as well. So some scenarios that we can be looking for towards the downside is a break underneath this key level for a move lower. For the upside, we either could be looking for the bounce off our 242 for a continuation higher, or we could be looking for the break above this swing high for that continued push back towards the downside. So now let's play out the tape. So right here, you can see that price came right down towards our key area. You can see that the wick is holding our key area, and the next subsequent candle is trying to break back above our opening range high, so that you can clearly see that this area is being used as a potential reversal point for a continuation back towards the upside on Apple. So now we can go into lower time frames to look for potential entry points. In this case, the key area that I'm going to have marked out is your opening range high. You can see so far price has a nice bounce off this area. It's rejecting off your opening range high. So what we'll be looking for is the break above this key area for that continued push back towards the upside. So you can see right there, price finally closes above this key area, right? You can see all these wicks that we have right here around our 243 area. Price finally has that candle closure, and now we're retesting this area. This is where we can go look long with a stop all the way at low of day. And now what we can look to target is the key levels and above. So this is your previous high of day pivot point. Now we can play out the tape. And you can see right there, price ended up having a nice push towards the upside, towards your previous day high key pivot point. So you can see right here, right, we had that candle closures above our 242 higher time frames. We then went on to the 1 minute time frame. We waited for that candle closure above our 243, and then we end up having a super solid push all the way towards your previous day's high. Now let's go on to the next example that I have. So you can see we're back on Tesla here, and the key levels that I have marked out is this swing low. You can see we have multiple touches around this key area. So far, we're having a tough time breaking underneath this key 324 general area. So this is going to be our key level on the higher time frames. So coming into today, what we're going to be looking for is either the hold of this 324 for this reversal back towards the upside, or we're going to be looking for the break underneath your 324 for continuations towards the downside. Now we can play out the tape. So right here, you can see on the 15-minute time frame, right, no key indication that price wants to head lower or higher based off the first 15 minutes. So we'll see and play out the next 15 minutes. So you can see right here in the next 15-minute candle, we break underneath its opening candle range on the 15-minute. We break underneath its previous day lows as well. Also this key area on the higher time frames. So we have a strong candle closure towards the downside on the 15-minute. Now we can go into lower time frames to look for potential entries. So now you can see I'm on the 5-minute time frame, and the key level that I'm going to have marked out is your 5-minute opening range. So we're going to use this area in combination with your previous day lows and your flip zone as well to look for a potential rejection for the continuation towards the downside. So you can see that price is coming back in towards this key area. Now it can go into the 1 minute time frame. You can see now we're on the 1 minute time frame. We have a nice rejection off our key area. We also have our confirmation candle right here towards the downside. So this is where we can go look short with a stop just to break above, and we can look to target a 1 to 2 towards the downside. Now we can play out the tape. And you can see right there, price ended up having a super solid push towards the downside. Now let's go into my last and final example that I have for us today. So right here, you can see we're on my last and final example, and we're on Amazon here. You can see we're clearly in an uptrend on the higher time frames. So coming into today, the key levels I have marked out is your previous day highs. So I marked out your previous day highs general area. I also marked out this key area as well, which is your 5 minute order block. You can see this is your only 5 minute order block on this whole push towards the upside. You can see that there's multiple touches around this key area. We're essentially trying to hold this order block. So this is a very key level coming into the next day. So what we want to see coming into today, right, based off the higher time frame, is the reaction around your 217 for a continued push back towards the upside, or we would be looking for the break underneath your 217 for a move lower. Now let's go into the 5 minute and play with the tape. So you can see our first minute candle wicking down in towards our key area. So far, we're having a nice reaction off our higher time frame general area. Now let's play out the next 5 minutes. So you can see right here, this is our first sign of bullish price action, right? We finally have that 5 minute candle closure above our opening range high on the 5 minute. We also have our first candle closure above our previous candle. So now we can go into the 1 minute time frame to look for entries. So you can see now we're on the 1 minute time frame, and the key area that I can have marked out is your 1 minute opening range. So now what I'd like to see is this continued push back towards the upside. We actually are closing above this here. So this is where we can actually take an entry off this swing key area. We can look for a long position with a stop just to break below. And now we can look to target your previous day highs general area, as you can see, which is at 220. So now we can play out the tape. You can see right there as well, price came down towards our stop, but you can see price ended up closing above our general area, right? 218, never closed below our key area. And now we're having a nice reaction off that area as well. So now I'd like to see is this continued pushback towards the highs. And you can see right there, price took a little bit longer, but eventually gravitated towards your previous day high key area for another solid trade towards the upside. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video and learned something new about candle closures. As I mentioned, wicks do the damage, bodies tell the story. You'll see plenty of times in your trades if you got wicked out just for it to head towards your target. So that's why candle closures and waiting for those candle closures is very important when it comes to trading. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, I appreciate if you guys drop me a like and sub, and I'll see you guys next week for a brand new video. Peace.